where they go, yo. Oh, 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 where they go, yo. Hey, Papa, where they? Oh, where they go, yo. Oh, where they go, yo. Oh, where they go, yo. Hey, Papa, where they? Oh, where they go, yo. 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 Oh, where they go.
You know, for us, the Mojave Road and the old Spanish Trail and things, as Cliff was saying, was devastating to Southern Paiute and Chemehuevi people. You know, our women and our children were stolen, our men were killed, and if you're familiar with genealogy and things, it's made it very difficult for us to know who we are in a sense. And we get little snippets sometimes of things as we read or as we travel. And so I was sitting back there and I was looking around the room and I caught that sign over there above the door. And you'll see the little town of Tecopa. Tecopa, although it's a small town now, Chief Tecopa was one of our last chiefs. And so again, we have that tie directly to the land and to our history if we know it. If you ever go up there, you're going to see names like Tuolumne and Tueri and it's not Madera, Chowchilla, all of these places. Those are all Indian people. Indian people today who by and large are extinct. You mentioned the Chemehuevi, and the Chemehuevi for this area were probably the ancient people. And every book you read will say the Chemehuevi are extinct. You know, I've had the privilege of meeting Chemehuevi people, and they were here today. So. I picked up the newspaper this morning and I saw the article, and today's being advertised as Mojave Indian Festival. And there are those on the Barstow City Council and the senior staff of the city who really don't believe that there were Indian people here, and the least of which were Chemehuevi. But our oral history and modern ethno-historical research has proven those voices wrong. Chemehuevi have a long and well-established history throughout Southern California. If you were to ask me what is my ancestral homeland, I would say all of San Bernardino County. Across the desert, even into Ash Meadows, Pahrump, Las Vegas, Valley of Fire. If you ever go to the Valley of Fire State Park, you will hear about Mouse's Tank. That gentleman Mouse was my great-great-grandfather. So again, we have that direct tie to the land that we still sometimes get out to. We no longer can use those areas freely as we once did. In the 1880s, the United States federal government declared those as public domain, and so we were removed from those areas. And so we can't go back like we once did, places where we held sacred. We still do manage to get back out there. A lot of us are out there more than what people think we are. But we still go back to those places. We still hold them as sacred. We still try to protect them. If you study, study petroglyphs, as a matter of fact, there's an excellent book right here in the museum. Petroglyphs are etchings in the stone. You can see some reproductions over there on the wall. And in the Fort Irwin area, the petroglyphs they found there are aged between about 3,000 and 9,000 years old.
You there?
The petroglyphs that they found here in Barstow are about 12,000 years old. And they found petroglyphs at China Lake that are 19,000 years old. And in that book, that same author says the people that lived at the Fort Irwin area were probably Chemehuevi or Kawaiisu people, the desert Kawaiisu. And you'll be meeting a Kawaiisu gentleman here in a few minutes as well. So again, we continually come back to that land and the land that we used. And this is such a broad area when you think about it. My gosh, how this guy Charles Wood is standing up there saying his grandfather was in Valley Fire. If you ever go to Providence Mountains to the Mitchell Caverns during that tour, who will they talk about? They'll talk about Mouse. My great-great-grandfather was in Mitchell Caverns and in Valley Fire. So how is it that they traveled these large expanses? So it's sometimes hard for non-Indians to believe that we really did cover those areas. In a census conducted in the 1880s, or in the 1800s, of the Victor area, that today is the town of Victorville, there were only 44 Indians found in Victor. 37 of them were Chemehuevi, 7 of them were Kawaiisu. In fact, I'm glad this is here. This is a picture, and one of the women in this picture is Maria Chapula, born in 1856 in the village side, probably the village side of Congressman. She lived there until her death at 106 years old, 104 years old in the 1960s. And again, you're going to have the privilege of meeting her granddaughter today, Ernestine Sharp. So we know as Chemehuevi people that we're here in this area. We lived here, we have villages here. Even today, there's an area not far from here in Apple Valley, which today is still known as the Chemehuevi Swamp. It's a marshy area there in Apple Valley. And so we pick up on these little things that we see and we hear and we learn. And just like Cliff was saying, for a lot of us, we're trying to regather and relearn these things.
Well,